ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम। गणानां त्वा गणपतिगुं हवामहे कविं कवीनाम् उपमश्रवस्तमम् ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणां ब्रह्मणस्पत आनः शृण्वन्नोतिभिः सीदसादनम् प्रणो देवी सरस्वती वाजेभिर्वाजिनीवती धीनामवित्र्यवतु गणेशाय नमः सरस्वत्यै नमः श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ओम्। साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वः प्रचोदयात्। साई माताय विद्महे वेदमातायै धीमहि तन्नः साई प्रचोदयात्। ओम सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। Now in the beginning of this chapter 9 of the Taittiriya Aranyaka, which is the Bhrguvalli, the beginning Shanti is Sahana Bhavatu and the ending Shanti is Sahana Bhavatu. We'll go word by word. Saha Nau Avatu. Saha Nau Bhunaktu.
Sairam uncle, we didn't get your text, uncle, for the Bhrguvalli PDF. If you can send it, we can share it.
Bhaskar has it. It is the entire Taittiriya Aranyaka. Full.
Oh, okay.
And on page number 208 is the starting. I'll send you right now. Give me a few seconds.
Sure.
I should send it to Sai Swarup. Sai Ram.
Yeah, Sai Ram. Yeah, you can send it to Sai Swarup.
I've sent it.
Thank you, uncle.
You have to display from page number 208. There are 245 pages. The chapter 9 starts from page number 208.
Sure, uncle. Sure.
Okay. So the words are Saha Nau Avatu. I'm breaking up the lines. Saha Nau Bhunaktu. Saha Viryam Karavavahai. Tejasvi Nau Adhitam Astu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So Saha Nau Avatu. The word Nau is a Dvivachan, dual. So Naha is Bahuvachan, all of us. Now is two of us, and Aham is me. So Aham, now, Naha. That is the distribution. One, two, and many. In Sanskritam and German and some languages we have the Dvivachan, the dual. So Saha now Avatu. Now word now is very significant because in normal language, whatever we speak in our own mother tongue, we say V2. So what does V2 mean? Anyone with an answer? V2 means husband and wife in normal language. When you catch 100 people and 100 people will be saying V2, out of them 60 people will mean the husband and wife, the couple. That is V2, us. So now means V2. So when V2 chant this particular chant or hear it together, then the thinking and the behavioral pattern will come in sync. Means the differences of opinion will be very few and far between. And then to further cement this relationship, if you chant or hear the Samana Suktam, Samani va aku uti samana hrudayani vaha, so the hearts will beat in unison. So normally in South India, they do the Aikyamata Homam, Aikyamata Sukta Homam, that is the Samana Sukta Homam, when the couple is on the verge of divorce. So I always suggest that you should not do this when you are sick. You should take it as a preventive medicine, like a vaccine. So the couple should listen to the Sahana Bhavatu, Shanti, and the Aikyamata Suktam every day together. It takes barely some 2 minutes. 2 minutes is 120 seconds in the audio. And it will ensure that you will have synchronicity of thinking and synchronicity of actions. And it will ensure a very happy and harmonious married life. So it's the secret of this Sahana Bhavatu Shanti combined with the Samana Suktam. That is for all of us. In this Vedic text, they say Guru Shishya because normally it is in the ashram. And the ashram now means the Guru is teaching to the Shishya and Shishya is listening from the Guru. So they will say now means the two of us. But the implementation has to be done by the Shishya in the real world. And in the real world, when we say two of us, it means husband and wife or wife and husband. So they should both listen to this Shanti and the Aikyamata Suktam, Samana Suktam every day if possible. And that will be a perfect vaccine for avoiding differences, major differences in opinion and action. So that is the secret behind Sahana Avatu. Saha now Avatu. Now means the two of us. Saha means together. Together, two of us. Avatu. Avatu means protect us both together. Bhunaktu means enjoying. The word Bhunaktu literally means to eat. But we are eating with the eyes, we are eating with the skin, with all five senses. So that means enjoyment. In Hindi, Bhugatna, Bhogna. So let us both enjoy together equally well. Let us both be protected together equally well. Sahaviryang Karavavahi. Again, Karavavahi is a dual. So the singular will be Karvavaham, Aham. And the plural will be Karvavahe, like Havamahe in Ganapati Mantra. So Karvavahi means the two of us. Viryam Kuru. Viryam means the tasks which are full of bravery and full of courage. So maybe 400 years ago, what Shivaji Maharaj did, physically fight with the Mughals, was bravery and full of courage. But today, the Mughals are inside our body. We don't have an enemy outside. We have an enemy inside. To fight that enemy, simply to follow the sayings of Swami, that is the Veera Karya that we have to do. And another Veera Karya we have to do is that teach the Vedas and spread the Vedas so that the message is heard among more and more countries and more people. That is the Veera Karya, means that which nobody else is doing. In Ishavasya Upanishad, Tena Tyaktena Bhunji Tha. Whatever is Tyaktya or discarded by the others and worth doing, that should be done. Those Karyas. That is Veera Karya for today in the 21st century. Because the enemies are not outside us. So Sahaviryang Karavavahi. Let us both do Veera Karyas. And then Tejasvi, now Adhitamastu. Adhita means Adhyayanam, means studies. The Vedic studies as well as Laukik studies. So let us both study together, and may our study brighten our countenance so much that the aura spreads all over. And Ma Vidvishavahe. We don't have Vidvesha between us. Vidvesha means rancor or jealousy between the two of us. So may the two of us grow together, may the two of us enjoy together, may the two of us perform brave deeds together, and may our studies brighten us and others together, and may we not have rancor between us or jealousy between us. It's a very perfect Shanti Patha for the two of us. Whoever the two may be, Guru Shishya or husband wife or whatever else, friend and friend, whichever, any pair you can take. But for practical purposes, it is very useful for husband and wife, because today we see the differences in opinion between the two in the couple are leading to a lot of other problems for the children and so many things. So that is the secret of this Shanti Sahana Bhavatu combined with the Aikyamata Suktam, Samana Suktam, Samaniva Akuti Samana Hrudayani Vaha. Now we come to the actual this This Taittiriya Upanishad is divided into three portions for convenience. The first portion is Shikshavalli. The Shiksha is the secret of the sounds, how to speak the sounds, ka, kha, ga, etc. That is the Shiksha. And then the obstacles which come within the body and the mind, the Daivi and the Bhautika, are discussed and how to overcome them and how to behave perfectly in a society, because the last para of the Shikshavalli is the convocation address which Swami makes us chant in the convocation day on 22nd of November every year. Anushasam, Shishya Anushasanam. So how should the Shishya behave when he leaves the ashram? Satyam vada dharmanchara swadhyayan ma pramadaha, means he should speak the truth, he should go on the path of right, and he should never be lazy from doing his swadhyaya, the Vedic karyas and the Vedic studies. And he should always obey his seniors, and he should do the actions, imitate the actions of the seniors which are right and not wrong, so on and so forth. So that is how he should conduct himself in life. And then how he should meditate in life, that is also in the Shikshavalli. So in general, the perfect behavior is the core of the Shikshavalli. But karma cannot lead to Brahmajnana. Karma alone, because na karmana, na prajaya. So na karmana, amritato manashuhu. So the next one is the Anandavalli. In Anandavalli, the first Ananda is described, which is one Manushya Ananda, one unit of Manushya Ananda, which itself is Durlabha for all of us in Kali Yuga, because it means a young person with a full healthy body and a completely resolute mind with positive thoughts. So most of us are either not having a healthy body or not a resolute mind, and most of us may not even be young enough. So in today's context, the word young implies somebody from say 25 to 35, where the mind is very strong and the cultivation or the samskruti in the person is very strong. After 35, the body starts to become kshina. In the Mahabharata Kal, that same age was around 80-85 when Arjuna fought the war, and Krishna was 86 and Arjuna was 85. That was the time they were at the strongest and the most resolute. At that time, people used to live for 200 plus years. In today's context, it will be say around 35. You are in your prime as a man. So let a person be one Manusha Ananda who is firm in mind and firm in body, and then he has all the Sri Lakshmis around him. That means he has all the articles of enjoyment that the Prithvi, the earth, can give him. Then he has a very cooperative family around him, which means children and wife, which are harmonious, which is thinking and his actions, which today is again a Mahadurlabha Paristhiti for all of us. Most of us will not get the partner that is harmonious with our thinking, or children who listen to us. So there are so many such things. The perfection in material life. So that one Manushya Ananda itself is Durlabha for us. So this is called one Manushya Ananda. Then you multiply one Manushya Ananda by 100. That is one Devananda. And then Gandharva Ananda is multiplied by 100. And then Deva Gandharva Ananda multiplied by 100. Then Prajapati Ananda further multiplied by 100. And so on and so forth till we reach the Brahmananda, which is this one Manushya multiplied by 1 followed by 22 zeros. That is the calculation. So we are here struggling for one. So whatever that 1 trillion, that amount of Ananda is Brahmananda. But again, in that chapter, it is described that even if you don't have that one Ananda, Brahmananda, if you follow these steps, you can attain. That progressive tapasya is given. And in chapter number 3, Bhrguvalli, the Shishya Bhrugu approaches his father, Varunaha, to actually practically undertake the tapasya and to know Brahmananda. So the second chapter, Anandavalli, gives the description of the Ananda. The third chapter, Bhrguvalli, gives how to do the tapasya which will lead us to that Ananda, all of us. And that is where the Bhrguvalli is significant. It gives us step-by-step instructions. And here I will read from the Taittiriya Upanishad, written in the Upanishad Vahini by Bhagwan Sri Satya Sai Baba. It will give us an overview. So, you want me to share the screen? Swarup?
Sure, Ankur, sure.
I'll share the screen. Yes, can you all see it?
Yes, Uncle, it's possible, Uncle.
So Bhagwan has also summarized the Upanishad, and Bhagwan says knowledge of Brahman, Brahma Vidya, is the specific theme of this Upanishad. Another thing which has been written in the Ramakrishna Mission book is that the first commentary which Shankaracharya attempted was of this Upanishad, the Taittiriya Upanishad, because apparently he belonged to the Taittiriya Shakha. That was his home Shakha, his Khudka Shakha, Swa Shakha. So Adi Shankara also did the commentary of the Dasha Upanishad starting with the Taittiriya Upanishad. So it is very important in that sense. Bhagwan says knowledge of Brahman is the specific theme of this Upanishad. It has 3 chapters on instruction, Shikshavalli, bliss, Anandavalli, and Brahman, Brahmavalli, and Bhrguvalli. In the chapter on instruction, certain methods are detailed to overcome obstacles placed in people's way by the deities and the sages, the devas and the rishis. Gods are the deities, the subsidiary gods, not the supreme god. And to acquire one-pointedness in mental exertions. This chapter has 12 sections. The last 2 chapters are very important for those seeking Brahma Vidya, Brahma Jnana. Both chapters give instruction on the knowledge of the sage Bhrigu, that is called the Varuni Vidya, which leads to liberation. So they are practically the same. For the convenience of study, it is dealt with in 2 sections or 2 chapters. That is all. The objective world is caused by ignorance, and the bondage is the result. In the Shikshavalli, the subjects which are dealt with are the karmas which are not antagonistic to action, like the combination of letters according to the euphonic rules. It should be EUPHO, euphonic, means the sandhis. How the, like shanchame, why sham plus cha becomes shancha, and shashchame, all the sandhi rules, the euphonic rules, and also subjects that are associated with dedicated action, like worship, upasana. These lead to self-rule, swarajya, but the complete destruction of samsara, the worldly flux, will not be accomplished by just these karmas or the sounds. Worship exists along with desire, kamana. So just like activity, even worship or upasana cannot bring about liberation or moksha. All this flux, this objective world, samsara, is due to ignorance, ajnana, and bondage is the result. So when ignorance is destroyed, the bonds loosen and liberation is attained. Ignorance is there, persisting through natural causes. It's just like the delusion that your train is moving when actually your train is stationary and the train on the adjacent track is moving. Watch only your train, you will know the truth. Watch the other train and you are deceived. There is no use seeking to know the cause of this delusion. The cause of this delusion for information is Maya. So Bhagavan is saying there is no use seeking to know the Maya. Don't try to know Maya. You will be trapped, just like Narada Muni, who was trapped in Maya. Seek how to escape from it by Brahma Vidya. This ignorance, which is the seed out of which the flux sprouts, can be destroyed only by the knowledge of Brahma Jnana. There is no other method. Swami has said Advaita Darshanam Jnanam. When you have Advaita Darshana, when you see everything as you and nothing else, that is Advaita Darshana. Then he says liberation cannot be produced by any action. All that is caused, everything that is a result, is short-lived. This is evident from the Shastras as well as from experience and reasoning. The scriptures speak of aspirants who discarded even higher regions like heaven, Swargaloka, which are attainable by persons who perform the great kratus and the yajnas. For liberation is beyond the reach of those who dwell even in heaven, the Devi Devatas, Indra, Mitra, Varuna, etc. Heaven and hell are the results of actions, karma. They are objects which are made, so they cannot be eternal. They are conditioned by birth, growth, decay, and death. They do not exist from the very beginning. They were made before that act, they were not there. That which once was not and later will not be existing is as good as not, even in the present. The fruit of karma shares this quality, so it cannot grant you eternal joy. No effort can result in the creation of space, akasha. Now, that akasha what already exists cannot be produced anew. The liberation moksha exists and is there self-evident. It cannot be produced anew by any action or karma. The moment the ignorance or ajnana that hides this liberation disappears from our experience, you are liberated and you know your true reality. You are free from bondage. Prior to that moment, you were free, but you imagined that you were bound and you behaved as if you were bound. How then are you to get rid of this idea that you are bound? By listening to the teachings of the Vedas and Shastras with faith therein. Only then the ignorance can perish. The chapter on Brahman in this Upanishad has the task of presenting these teachings. It is in the nature of things that ignorance prompts people to crave plentiful fruits through the performance of actions. Then, if the fruits are not given to us, the people become despondent, and the cravings only bind them more and more and don't help them to make free. The craving for this fruit is hard to shove off, though this fearful flux of growth and decay makes them shiver in dread. Then the parasas, Brahman is truth, which is omniscience and eternal. In this Upanishad, the three words Satyam, Jnanam and Antam are meaningfully affixed to Brahman. That word Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, Brahma, which also Bhagavan has sung as a bhajan. To explain its characteristics, these are three distinct words signifying qualities, seeking to mark out one from the rest. The one Brahman from other types of Brahman that don't have these traits. That is to say, Brahman is not to be confused with anything that is not truth, not spiritual wisdom, and eternal. Everything that is limited by time, space, and objectivity is inert or jada, material belonging to matter and apparently different from Brahman. The characteristics of truth, spiritual wisdom, jnana, and eternity, anantam, help to differentiate and distinguish the real Brahman from kindred and similar phenomena which appear like Brahman. Whichever form a thing is determined to have, if that form is unchanged. Now the question arises, what is like Brahman? Akasha Tattva. So one may meditate upon Akasha Tattva and think that is Brahman, but Akasha also will not be there when creation ends. So it is subject to ending. So Akasha Tattva cannot be Brahman. It is kindred and similar to Brahman. And after you realize Akasha Tattva, the next step is Brahma Tattva. So whichever form a thing is determined to have, if that form is unchanged, then it is referred to as truth. If that form undergoes some change, then it is a falsehood, asatyam. Modification is a sign of untruth. Absence of modification is a sign of truth. Brahman is truth, satya. That is to say, it has no modifications. It is eternal, nitya, unaffected by time. All that is not Brahman, that is the word jagat. The word jagata means ja is janma and gata means gati. That which is born and which moves. Jagat is subject to change. All objects are subject to the triple process of the intellect, buddhi. That is the known, the knower, and the knowledge. That is the known is the knower is the jnata, knowledge is the jnanam, and the known is the jnatra, the object of knowledge, the knower, and the object of knowledge. Hence, the intellect is spoken of as a cave or a guha, in which the threefold processes resides of the knower, the knowledge, and the known. That cave is described in the Narayana Suktam as Nivara Shukavatanmi Pita Bhasvati Tasya Shikhaya Madhya Paramatma Vyavasthitaha. In that Shikha is the Paramatma, in that Guha, in the cave. Now the paragraph says, do not swerve from truth, duty, and the Kshema, well-being of all. In the Taittiriya Brahmana, as well as this Taittiriya Upanishad, Dharma is treated elaborately. It has three forms. The desirable, Kamya Karma, then Naimittika Karma, which is produced by some nimitta or cause, and eternal, Nitya Karma. So Nitya Karmas are what we do every morning, like having bath, doing prayers, etc. Naimittika Karma is something like Shraddha and Yajnas, which we do because of the nimitta, the season or the death of a person. And Kamya Karma is whatever we do out of desire, like earn money and spend money, etc. So these are the three types of karmas. The Shastras seldom command that action be pursued. There is no need to do so because action comes naturally to people. The desire or kama is the prompter of all actions, and people get various fruits thereby. The scriptures teach only the ways of directing this natural activity of karma to ensure desirable objects. So they only channel our karmas into the positive route or the route of dharma or the route of right. So it says, swerve not, the Upanishad in the last para says, which we chant in the convocation ceremony, swerve not from truth and untruth. Satyanna pramaditavyam. From the true, it will not do to swerve. Dharmanna pramaditavyam. Nor from dharma, nor from welfare and well-being. Kushalanna pramaditavyam. Bhutyaina pramaditavyam. That means the well-being of yourself and the other people around you. You should not be lazy towards that. Then not from duties towards the fathers. Deva Pitra Karyabhyan na pramaditavyam. Matra Devo Bhava, treat thy mother as God. Pitru Devo Bhava, treat thy father as God. Acharya Devo Bhava, treat the Acharya as God. And Yani Anavadyani Karmani, Tani Sevitavyani, no Itarani. Works that are free from fault should be resorted to, do not others. That means even in us, the rishis say, the works which are, completely stainless or faultless, that you should imitate. The other works you should not imitate. Even we might be making mistakes, the rishis are saying. So these are the instructions in the last para of the Shikshavalli. Then the Upanishad Vahini says, science of spirituality is the highest field of experiential knowledge. Listening, Shravanam, rumination, Mananam, and concentration are the three steps in realization. Listening refers to the Vedas and the Shastras, which have to be revered in faith and learnt by heart from a spiritual teacher, Guru. This confers the knowledge of the unknowable. Then rumination or Manana is the austerity, tapas taught in the chapter on Bhrugu. By this process, the essence of Brahman can be fixed in the mind. Concentration helps the development of single-minded attention on the principle so installed. The two chapters on Brahma and Bhrigu expound on the discipline that ensures the realization of Brahma Vidya or Brahman. The chapter on Brahman teaches, the chapter by Bhrigu proves by experience. Now, tapas is normally a very misunderstood term. We have many sadhus in the Kumbh Mela who stand on one foot for 3 years, and then the other foot is upwards in some yogasana, and people call it tapas. That is not tapas, that is just some gymnastics. Some people, they stay hungry for 1 year and they call it tapas. That is again not tapas, that is simply torturing the body. Satya Sai Baba has very repeatedly said that the body should not be tortured like that. The body should be treated in moderation. Neither you should do too much lalan palan of the body, nor should starve the body. You should be eating the right amount of food in the right times, in the right way, so as to ensure the health and the longevity of the body. And then tapas for the vak is, you should not speak when you should not speak. And whenever you speak, you should be very madhuram and very auspicious, priyam. That is the tapas for the vak. And the tapas for the hands is do the right actions at the right times and desist from the wrong actions. The tapas for the feet is to go to the right places at the right times. So that is all that is tapas. Tapas is a 24/7 process. It is not only going to the forest and standing with one leg on the ground and one leg upwards to the sky. That is just gymnastics. And that should not be understood as tapas. And whatever experiments in not eating food and eating food are considered, as long as food is eaten in moderation, that is tapas. Otherwise, doing upvasa or fasting for 1 year and 1 month and all that is not tapas. That is merely another form of body gymnastics, another form of body torture. So all those things are not tapas. Tapas is regulation of the senses and the body along the long-term benefit and the long-term health of the body. That is body tapas. And there is vak tapas, and there is, of course, mano tapas means not to think negative thoughts, but that is very, very difficult in today's world. Then we come to this Bhrigu, this last chapter which we are going to do now. Bhrguvalli. Bhrigu, who is Varuna's son, tells him that Brahman is food, annam. Then Brahma is life breath, pranam. Then the senses, the mind, manas, then speech, vak, etc. But since the son soon learns that these are not Brahman, because they are all subject to growth and decay, he declares that Brahman is that from which these things are born and by which they live and function. That is the power behind the eye. that thing which makes the eye see, thing which makes the ears hear, that thing which makes the tongue speak. So first he believed that the food is Brahman, since all being exists on food. But later he feels that Brahman is much more inclusive. Then he asks for the real teaching of the real Brahman. Then he is told that tapas is Brahman. Now Baba has explained to us that tapas is inquiry and concentration and meditation. With the mind one has to inquire, who am I? That is the main tapas. Because 75% of sadhana is who am I inquiry, which Bhagavan has told his law. So tapas is Brahman. For it is that by which Brahman the reality is known. He discovered by austerity or tapas that the highest wisdom, vijnana, is Brahman. For wisdom is that in which creatures are born, and it is by which creatures live. Thus it is announced that of all disciplines and subjects of study, the Brahma Vidya is the most sacred, holy and esoteric. Contemplation of the Panchakoshas of the human. The food is not to be decried. That should be the vow or the vratam of the wise. The prana is all food. The physical body is the gift of food, and the vital as prana, and the body is the vehicle. So food should not be insulted or slighted. That should be the resolution. Tad vratam. The waters in conjunction with the fire in the stomach become food. The waters in the rain contain lightning inherent in it. That is Apsud Jyoti, which is in the Mantra Pushpam. Even Swami has said that if you realize the Jyoti in the water, then you will realize the power in the water. So in the water that comes down as rain, the fire of lightning is inherent. So whoever is established in the splendor of water is aware of the splendor of food and the splendor of fire, and is persuaded to revere it. Food is the guru, for it leads you to the knowledge of Brahman. Therefore, it should not be treated with disrespect. That must be observed like a vow or the vratam by the aspirant. Since the physical body is the mere transformation of food, it has a food sheath, the Annamaya Kosha. The vital airs form the Pranamaya Kosha, the Prana sheath. Weighing between the good and the bad, right and wrong is the function of the mind sheath, the Manomaya Kosha. Weighing between right and wrong is called intellect or Viveka Buddhi. Fixing upon a step with a purpose and view is the function of the sheath of intuition of spiritual wisdom, Vijnanamaya Kosha. That is one step above the Manomaya Kosha. When your intuition tells you you should not go to this person, you should not go to this particular place, that is above the mind. It arises from the heart. That is the Vijnanamaya Kosha. Finally, the joy of achievement is tasted by the sheath of bliss, Anandamaya Kosha. When you penetrate the heart guha and arrive at the Narayana within the heart guha, that is the Annamaya Kosha. So, the paragraph is titled Rise from the gross Sthula Sharira to the subtle stage by contemplating on the vital breath. That is the prana. The vital air sheath is the first instrument in order to progress with the Brahmic outlook, that you are Brahman and not the body. The vital air is subtle, prana is subtle, separate and different from the Sthula body. It is activated by and saturated with the Vayu, the god of wind. It pervades and subsumes the entire food sheath. You can say that the vital air sheath is the soul of the food sheath, for it makes it function from head to foot. It cannot survive without the prana. It is the motive force. That's why when in Laukika Bhasha, when we say the body is dead, we say the prana has left the body. And the body is just a collection of earth materials. So the prana is the motive force. It has 5 varieties. Downward breath, the breath, which is prana. Downward breath is apana. Diffused breath is vyana. Rising breath is udana. And digestive breath is samana. The prana, apana, vyana, udana, samana. So again, the prana is the main breath. Then the apana is the downward breath in the downward portion of the body. Diffused breath is vyana all over the body. Then udana is the rising breath in the head and the heart. And samana is the digestive prana around the stomach and the nabhi. By contemplating that the vital air sheath is the atma of the food sheath, the notion that the body is the self will disappear. You rise from the gross to the subtle, from the stula to the sukshma. The breath or the prana is like the molten metal in the crucible. By effort, the prana sheath can be experienced. The vital air appears in the form of breath. The vital air activates the head. Diffused breath, the right part of the body. The vital air means prana. Prana activates the head. And the vyana, diffused breath, the right part of the body. The rising breath, udana, the left part of the body, digestive prana, that is samana, it activates the central part of the body around the nabhi, and the downward breath apana activates the lower part of the body below the nabhi. That is the excretion. The vital air moves from the heart through the nerves to the face, nose, etc., and reaches the head. From there, it motivates the various nerves flowing through the body using under different names, with distinct names and distinct functions. The vital air that functions around the navel, for example, is called the samana or the digestive air. Then, mantras illumine the atmic splendor. For the mind sheath, Yajurveda is the head. This is in the Shikshavalli. The mantras, the hymns form the right wing. Uttara Pakshaha, Dakshina Pakshaha. Then chanting is the left wing. Then chanting is the Dakshina Pakshaha. The Brahmanas are the soul. And the Atharvana Veda is the tail, the balancer. Mantras of the Yajurveda are used very much in sacrifices. With them, food is offered ceremonially in the sacrificial fire or yajna. Hence, it is considered as the head. Sound of sacrificial prayer, the yajus, produces auspicious modification of energy. That is also the reason for the significance attached to the other Vedas. Thus, all mantras become the cause of mental modifications. These, in turn, illumine the splendor of the Atma. So, the Vedas and the mystery of the syllables belong to the science of the Atma itself, which is why Bhagwan gives so much importance to the Vedas and the chanting of Vedas. The Vedas become eternally valuable and eternally existent. The Atharvana Veda treats various rites to win relief from evil forces and elements, so it is described as the tail. The mind sheath emerges in the sheath of the intuition, the Vijnanamaya sheath, and later into bliss sheath, Anandamaya sheath. Finally, the aspirant passes beyond even that into the region of pure being, which is Sat. So this is the summary as Bhagwan Sri Satya Sai Baba has given us. Now we come to the mantra part. So, the start, we have done the Shanti Sahana Bhavatu and the significance of the Shanti. Now it says, Bhrgurvaiva Runihi. Bhrgu Vai Varunihi. Bhrgu Vai. Vai means the one who is. Its emphasis, Vai. Varunihi means the son of Varuna or in the family of Varuna. The student Bhrgu, who is indeed in the lineage of Varuna, he approaches Pitaram, Varunam Pitaram Upasasara, Varunam Pitara, the father named Varuna, Upasasara, he approaches his father who is named Varuna. And then he says, Adihi Bhagavaha Brahma Iti, Adihi, teach me, Adhyayanam Kuru, means mujhe adhyayan karao. Hey Bhagavan, hey Varuna Bhagavan, Brahma Iti, about Brahman, about the Brahma Vidya. So, Tasma Etat Provacha. Tasmai, in that regard, Varuna, Etat means this, Pra-uvacha, in a visible way, Uvacha, he states as answer, Annam Pranam Chakshushrothram Manovachamiti. So, Annam is food, the food sheath. Pranam is the prana sheath. Chakshu is the seeing quality. Shrotram is the hearing organ, Mana is the thinking organ, Vachamiti. So these are all the external manifestations of Brahman, which we are aware of and which we can experience. Tam ha uvacha, those he has explained. Uvacha means spoken. Then yato va imani bhutani jayante. Yataha vai. When you separate the sandhi, the va becomes a vai. Yataha vai imani bhutani jayante. Imani bhutani means all these bhutas, all these creatures, jayante are born. So from which indeed vai, all these bhutas are born. Yena jatani jivanti, from which source these creatures who are born, they jivanti, they are existing, they live. Jivanam. Then yat prayanti abhisamvishanti, yat prayanti, into that element they all are gravitating towards and they enter it. Abhisamvishanti, that is Brahma Tattvam. Tad vijijñasva, that Tattvam you should endeavor to know. Vijijñasva. Tad Brahma iti, that indeed is Brahman. Saha tapo atapyata. So in your tapas you should do endeavor to find out that Saha. And then Bhrugu does the tapas and says Saha tapas taptva. Then Bhrugu does tapas, and after that tapas he finds out. Taptva, from that tapas he finds out. And what does he find out? He goes to his father and says, Annam Brahma iti Vyajanat. Vyajanat means I have come to know. What I have come to know? Annam Brahma. This food is Brahma. Iti means in sense of etc. This food is Brahma. That is what I have come to know. Because Anat hi eva khalu eva imani bhutani jayante. All these imani bhutani, all these creatures, all these creations, they all are born jayante from Anat, from food. Hi eva, indeed, always eva. Then annena jatani jivanti. It is by means of food that all these creatures they are living, they sustain themselves. The Vishnu aspect. And then annam prayanti abhisamvishanti iti. They also are gravitating towards annam, attracted towards annam, prayanti, and they abhisamvishanti. They enter that. The word vishanti is the root for the word Vishnu. Vishanti or Vishati iti Vishnu. And tad vijñāya. So this is what I have come to know. Tad vijñāya. Then obviously Varunam says that whatever you have discovered is okay for now, but Annam has a beginning and Annam has an end. So it's not what is the last thing. So punareva, punaha eva, again, indeed, eva, again, Varunam pitaram upasasara. He approaches his pitaram Varuna, approaches means upasasara. And again he requests his pitaraha, adhihi bhagavaha brahma iti. O Bhagavan, teach me about Brahman. And then in that regard, Varunam speaks, tam hovacha, tam hi uvacha. Indeed, about that, he speaks. Tapasa Brahma vijijñasva. By means of tapas, you try to understand Brahman. Because tapa is Brahman. Because tapa is Brahman, saha tapaha atapyata. So that tapas which his father directed him to do, he underwent. And then sa tapas taptva. And after that tapas, he discovered the following. Taptva, what happened? Now he says pranaha brahma iti vyajanat. Vyajanat means I have come to know that pranam is Brahma. The prana or the vital layers are the Brahma. Because pranat hi eva khalu imani bhutani jayante. From this prana is born all the bhutas. Jayante, they are born. Pranena jatani jivanti. It is by means of this prana that all the creatures, jatani jivanti, they are alive, they are sustained. And then pranam prayanti, they are gravitating towards prana. And pranam abhisham vishanti, they are entering prana. So prana is entering them. Tad vijñāya, by means of this vijñānam, I have come to know. Then again, his father Varuna says that prana also has a birth and prana has a death. So prana cannot be Brahman. So punareva, then he asked his father punareva again and again, hey Varuna, Varunam pitaram upasasara means approaches his Varunam pitaram. And he asks him, adhihi bhagavaha brahma iti, adhihi adhayanam mujhe karao. Hey Bhagavan, Brahma iti, about Brahman. So in that regard, tam ha uvacha, he spoke. Tapasa Brahma vijijñasva, by only means of tapas, which is Brahman, you try to know. Because tapas is Brahma iti, sa tapo tapyata. In that regard, he did tapas and he did the actions of tapas, concentration and inquiry. So tapas tattva, out of that concentration and inquiry, this is what he discovered. Manaha Brahma iti Vyajanat. Mind is the Brahma. This is what I have come to know. Vyajanat. Manaso. Manasaha hi eva. Khalu imani bhutani jayante. Imani bhutani, all these creatures jayante are born from Manasaha only. Because it is said that this mind is the projector, and through the eyes we see the projection of the whole world. And it is just a movie in 4D. Means there are 3 dimensions and we can touch it. So there are 4 dimensions. And the moment you close your eyes, you are closing the projection. So the world does not exist when you are in deep sleep. So that is the logic. Manasaha eva khalu imani bhutani jayante. Manasa jatani jivanti. By means of this manas, all these creatures, jatani, who are born, jivanti, they are alive or they are sustaining. Manaha prayanti, they are gravitating towards manaha. Manaha, one second, I have to take my phone from my sister. Hello. Jai Shri Krishna. Bol. મારો ક્લાસ ચાલી રહ્યો છે. Can I phone you after 1 hour? હા, અત્યારે class is going on. Okay. Sorry for that. There were 2-3 calls. I had disconnected earlier, but it was from my sister, so I had to take it. So Adhihi Bhagavo Brahmeti. Hey Varunam Pitaram, please teach me what is Brahma. And then he Tam Hovacha. In that regard, Pitaram says, Tapasa Brahma Vijidnyasva. By means of tapas, you will attain that Brahma. So you should know Vijidnyasva, Brahma, by means of tapas. Tapaha Brahma iti, that tapas is Brahma. Saha tapo tapyata. So that tapas indeed he did underwent. Tapyata, atapyata. Atapyata is in the past tense. Sa tapas taptva. And out of that tapas, taptva, what happened? He made a further discovery. Vijnanam Brahma iti Vyajanat. I have come to know that Vijnanam is Brahma. That's what I have come to know. Vyajanat. Vijnanat hi eva khalu imani bhutani jayante. All these bhutas, creatures, they are jayante, are born from Vijnanam. Vijnanat hi eva. Vijnanena jatani jivanti. From this Vijnana, all these bhutas, the jatani, the ones who are born, they are alive or sustaining. Jivanti. Vijnanam prayanti. They are all gravitating towards Vijnanam. And Vijnanam abhisamvishanti. They are all entering Vijnanam. Vishanti. Tad Vijnaya. Out of this knowledge, I have come to know that this is Brahman. So again, Varunam says, this Vijnanam has a beginning and has an end. So that is not Brahman. So Punareva Varunam Pitaram Upasasara. So now again he approaches his father Varunam once again, Upasasara. And requests his father, Adhihi, please teach me, Adhyanan Karao. Bhagavaha, Bhagavan, Brahma iti, about Brahman. In that regard, Varunam spoke, Tam Hovacha, Tapasa Brahma Vijidnyasva. By means of tapas alone, we should come to know and do further tapas. Tapaha Brahma iti, Sa Tapo Tapyata. So he underwent Atapyata, the tapas. And out of that tapas taptva, what did he discover now? Anandaha Brahma iti Vyajanat. This Anandaha is Brahman. It is what I have discovered. Vyajanat. I have come to know. Anandat hi eva khalu imani bhutani jayante. From this Anandam only, eva, only, indeed, khalu is just a particle. Imani bhutani jayante. All these bhutas, they are born. And jatani jivanti. All those who are born, they are jivanti or alive or sustaining themselves by means of Ananda, Anandena. So, Anandam Prayanti, they are all gravitating towards Ananda. Anandam Abhisamvishanti, they are all entering Ananda, or Ananda is entering them. Tad Sa Esha Bhargavi Varuni Vidya. So now there is some conclusion that Sa Esha, this indeed is the Bhargavi Varuni Vidya. Parame Vyoman Pratisthita. It is established in the Parame Vyoman, in the knowledge which is not available to normal people. Param, in the Parama Vyoma, or the heavens. Sa ya evam Veda Pratisthati. So Saha means he, yeah, means from that whosoever. Evam, in this manner, Veda, who he knows, Pratitishthati, becomes established in this Anandam. So, Annavan, Annado Bhavati, Mahan Bhavati Prajaya Pashubhe Brahmavartasena Mahan Kirtya. Now, we will start from this particular section 961 tomorrow because it's a little bit more difficult. There were 5 stages when he underwent tapas, and out of that tapas he discovered 5 stages or 5 koshas, and finally arrived at the Anandamaya kosha and declared that this is Ananda Brahman. And then Varunam did not say further tapas taptva or tapas tapyata atapyata. He said yes. Now you have come at a conclusion, and how does this Anandam manifest itself in our Sharira or body? We'll discuss tomorrow. So for today, this is and it's a little cliche subject. It means it's not easy to grasp in a single sitting. We have to do many sittings for these things. The Upanishad, especially. That's why it is called Upanishad. Upanishad is normally termed as Vedanta because it is learnt when you have completed learning the Veda or to implement the Veda in actual life. That's why it is normally done by people who are senior citizens and who leave their homes and hearths to enter the forest in the Vanaprastha and the Sannyasa stage, the last ending years of their life. So we should do this slowly, not hurry up. So again, I will chant the mantra Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sah Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhetamastu Ma Vidvishavahai Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. If there are any questions about any words or technical descriptions in this section, please ask right now. We'll do that. We'll continue with the other 4 paragraphs, 5 paragraphs tomorrow, and we'll complete it. At the end of the thing is the Samaganam. Yes, Swarup, something?
No, no, uncle. Yeah, I was just we could complete it tomorrow, uncle. I
Hmm.
think I'll have more doubts then.
No, you can ask right now if it is pertaining to the earlier 4 paragraphs. This you can ask right now.
Yes, I was just making an observation. So it's like a dialogue, right, uncle, between Varuna and the Varuni.
Yes, it's like a instruction, and then he follows the tapas, and then he comes back saying this is this, and the father says no, this is not this because it is this, and then he goes back, and then he again does further tapas. Then he says this is this. Father says no, this is not that. Go again, do further tapas. So it happens 5 times, and the 5th time he says this is this. Then father says okay, now you. And Swami has described this story that in the last instance he does not go back to his father after he discovers Anandam Brahma Vijijnasva. The father goes to him. That's what is written by Bhagwan Baba in some speech or some other commentary. I don't know which one. I can't. That is the expertise of Bhaskar, to produce all the quotes as it is.
Yes, yes. I think it is a part of a Chinna Katha, uncle.
Yes.
Sure.
So in the 5th instance, the father goes to this Bhrgu. Bhrgu does not approve because now Bhrgu does not have any need to go to anywhere, either to his father or to any other teacher. He has arrived at the door of Brahma Tattvam, Anandam. So Brahma Tattvam is obviously giving him inner wisdom and inner experiences. He does not need to go anywhere. So now the father goes to him and confirms his, validates his experiences. Yes, you have now arrived at the doors of Brahma Tattvam. This is how Brahman is manifesting in your body in these ways that we will discuss tomorrow.
Sure,
In the last instance, the father goes to the son. The son does not approach the father. Any other observations? Any questions? Then we'll conclude for today.
Sai
Yes,
Ram, sir. So
Sai Ram,
here in
please
this,
go.
yeah, inner wisdom is Brahma. So like in some other Upanishad, the Anna is Brahma, and Narayana Upanishad, he is Brahma. So it is like that.
Actually, all is Brahman, but these are the stages of his discovery. First discovery is Anam Brahma. Then father says, how can Anam be Brahma? Because Anam is produced and Anam has an end. It has a beginning and an end. Whatever has a beginning and an end, it cannot be Brahman. So then further he goes tapasya and then pranam Brahma. Pranam also has a beginning and an end. That way even Akasha has a beginning and an end. So even Akasha is not Brahma, it is like Brahma. So these are his discoveries stage by stage. And these are the discoveries which we'll also make stage by stage when we do our inquiry within. So it's a process. And if you follow the process and go along those steps, You will arrive at the same conclusions.
Saram brother, in other words,
Yes.
Brahmans means which cannot undergo any change. That is the ultimate.
Yes, eternal, the immortal, Amrutattvam.
Yes. So anything which undergoes change cannot become Brahman.
Yes, the real self in all of us is Brahman.
Yeah.
And Brahma is a Tattvam. Brahman is not something which is subject to creation, dissolution, and something.
Yeah.
Because what we say,
Can
God,
we have,
God, the word
can
for
we
God
have
is
that,
Ishvara. Yes, can we have what?
Can we have that English description? This one. You have sent it to Sai Swarup, isn't it?
English description is there in the book by Ramakrishna Math. The word-to-word meanings.
The one which Bhagwan had made a mention, which you displayed now.
Uncle, I think that's Upanishad.
That is Upanishad Vahini. That's available to everyone. It's Upanishad Vahini.
Yeah.
It's in the Vahini. You just Google Upanishad Vahini, it will come up.
Okay.
Otherwise, I
It's
can
available on the net.
have it. Yeah, yes, uncle. Yeah, it's available there.
Sai Swarup, you can post it. You can post it in the group.
I'll post it right now. Give me a second.
Sure.
Yes, I'm posting to Swarup, so he'll post it to all of you.
Sai Ram,
Sai Ram, please.
when Bhrigu,
Mm-hmm.
after his tapas,
Uh-huh.
realizes that he is the Ananda,
Uh-huh.
which is the Brahman,
Yes.
and then Varuna also realizes the composure
Mm-hmm.
and the Mahashantam in
Yes.
Bhrigu.
Yes.
So father goes to Bhrigu and says the Mahavakya that you are the Brahman. So Bhrigu asserts that Aham Brahmasmi.
Mm-hmm.
Prajnanam Brahma, I am Atma Brahma,
Hmm.
Tattvamasi, Aham Brahmasmi.
Uh-huh. So that assertion will come in the further 4 paras, which we'll do tomorrow. He does not say those very words, Aham Brahmasmi, but he says it in another way. He sings a song. Ahamannado, Hamannado, Hamannadaha, Aham Slokam, Aham Slokam, that way. He sings a song towards those, that same bhava, expressing the same things which you said. The Mahavakyas are in the 4 Vedas, so he does not state them literally word for word, he states it in a different way, which we will cover
And
tomorrow.
names it as Mahan Kirtya.
Yes, that's the result of
Correct.
attaining Brahma Tattvam. You attain Mahan Kirti or fame.
Kirti, yeah.
You attain lot of food, annam. You attain lot of cattle, wealth.
Mm-hmm.
So these are the results of attaining a Brahma Tattvam.
That is true.
So we'll discuss that tomorrow.
Thank you.
Because this is a subject which has to be eaten slowly, one morsel at a time, not the entire thali in one sitting. It requires mananam, shravanam, mananam, nididhyasanam. So we'll do the balance portion tomorrow. Any other questions? Any other about any technical words in the mantra patha?
Swami has talked about this in Sutra Vahini also,
Yes.
Brahma Sutram.
Yes. Brahma Sutram is the most difficult topic of study for a normal Vedic student, and even Sutra Vahini, as Swami has very simply stated, is also very difficult to understand. Even though Swami has made it very simple, but it's very difficult to understand in the mind and in experience.
True.
Now, most of us, we are struggling with the Vedas, which are the first Montessori level. So to go to Brahma Sutram, which is the PhD level, is I think a little ambitious.
Yes.
Let us first at least master the junior, this Montessori and the 4th standard, 1, 2, 3, 4 standards. Then we'll go to middle school and then to senior school and then to college and then to PhD.
Correct.
Because right now we are all in the stage of, our children asking us, why should we study the Vedas? They are in some dead language and it's of no use to us in contemporary life, and so on and so forth. So let us issue our present problems with the Vedas, which are giving us good instructions, and then we'll eventually reach the stage of PhD in our life.
Yeah. That Vedic vision will be our prasadam.
Yes, yes. And as you have observed, even within the Satyasai organization, even though Bhagwan Satyasai Baba is shouting from the rooftop since 1953 that study the Vedas, how many people out of 100 are studying the Vedas? Actually, not even one. Maybe 1 in 1 lakh, or maybe 5 in 1 lakh, even in the organization, who is supposedly following Satyasai Baba and his teachings. So there we have the situation as is prevailing. So let us study the Vedas and let us try to implement the Vedas in our life, and we will eventually reach that, the last milestone. Anybody else with any other questions? Okay, then Swarup, I'll chant the Samana Suktam and we'll conclude for today.
Sure.
Om Samidyuvase Vrushannagne Vishwa Yarya A. Even in Samiti meetings, you should chant the Samana Suktam because it has a very positive effect of carrying out all resolutions unanimously. Samidyuvase Vrushannagne Vishwa Yarya A. Iraspade Samidhyase Sano Vasonya Sangachadvam Samvadadvam Samvomanaam Sijanataam Deva Bhagan Yatha Purve Sanjanana Upasate Samano Mantras Samiti Samani Samanam Manas Saha Chittame Esham Samanam Mantram Abhimantraye Vas Samane Navo Havisha Ajuhomi Samani Va Aku Utis Samana Hrudayani Vaha Samanamastu Mano Yatha Avassu Sahasati स्वस्ति प्रजाभ्यः परिपालयन्तां न्याय्येन मार्गेण महीं महिषाः गो ब्राह्मणेभ्यः शुभमस्तु नित्यं समस्तलोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्तलोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्तलोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु ओम सर्वं श्री साईश्वरार्पणमस्तु श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः हरि ओम तत्सत् Sai Ram everyone, we'll meet tomorrow. Sai Ram.
Sai Ram, sir.
Sai Ram everyone.
Sai Ram, everybody.
Sai Ram, everybody.
Sai Ram, Sai Ram. Sai Ram, everybody.
Sai Ram, everyone.
Sai Ram.
Sai Ram, uncle. Sai Ram.